Hi everyone, it's Zach Beck. Today I want to talk to you about the CARES Act and recent changes that have transpired in the legislation that allow you to take up to $100,000 out of either an IRA or a 401k. And when you look at this language, you're going to find that there are certain stipulations and regulations associated with it. So I'm going to take time in this video to go over those in detail so that way you understand the best way forward for yourself right now, because you might be facing financial insecurity right now due to the illness that has gone throughout the entire world. But I just want to make sure that you have all the knowledge possible to make the best decisions possible so that way you can be financially whole during this challenging time. So let's jump into it right now. The recent illness that has transpired throughout our entire world has revealed how close so many people are to facing financial insecurity. Over the last number of months, millions of Americans have lost their jobs, no longer have their primary source of income due to economic hardship that has been caused by this illness. In addition, we're seeing businesses closing, filing for bankruptcy, and overall a lot of insecurity that is transpiring in our society and in our economy as a whole. While certain unemployment benefits that have kicked in and certain stimulus measures have been put in place to fill the gap on a temporary basis, that really is not enough in order for people to become whole financially as they're trying to navigate the challenges of this current situation. So what the new legislation you'll find in the CARES Act allows for you to do, and for myself to do, is to take out money out of our 401k or our IRA. Now, you've heard me say before in various videos about both retirement accounts that it's important to buy and to hold, because time in the market is more important than trying to time the market. So when you're investing for your retirement, you're looking at a 30, 40, 50-year trajectory when it comes to actually making that investment. Now, that's why I wanted to bring that out of the gate, that is generally my preference, that is my approach, and it's not just even myself, it's what all of the experts and analysts who've been in the field of finance for decades have recommended and has worked. But we are in an interesting moment right now where people are needing to meet their essential needs. So I just wanted to make sure that you are aware of this recent change, that way you can make the best decision for yourself. If you're financially struggling, then you can find a way to actually bring in some revenue right now on an interim basis to be able to make yourself whole. Whereas if you're not doing, if you're fine financially right now, this would not be for you, because you want to make sure that you're maintaining your money into both retirement accounts. So what I want to do right now is jump into the details of this change, what you are allowed to do, how you can do it, and how we can make the most of this current situation. So let's check this out right here. A 401k or an individual retirement account are now better than ever as far as options that you have to be able to actually tap into those resources if you're facing financial difficulty without paying the normal penalties that you would have to on taking out money out of a retirement account. And this only lasts through the remainder of 2020 per the CARES Act. So it's very important to understand that. Prior to the illness, if you were under the age of 59.5 and took a distribution out of your 401k, it would trigger a 20% federal tax hit along with a 10% early distribution penalty. That was and will again be after 2020. So it's only for the next 6 months when you have this window of opportunity to not pay these penalties. This is one of the reasons why myself and others would recommend never to touch your 401k or your IRA prior to the age of 59.5 unless you had very significant issues that arose that required you to tap into those resources. So fortunately right now, in this period of time between now and the end of 2020, we're able to touch money in there up to $100,000. And when you take up to $100,000 out of either an IRA or a 401k, you no longer pay the 10% penalty. So it's going to make a significant change and make it easier for individuals to access capital at a time when it's all the more necessary to pay bills, to buy groceries, to keep the lights turned on, to do all the things that are necessary just to be able to survive through this challenging time. The IRS has made changes in the CARES Act that now allow people to take $100,000 out of either an IRA or a 401k. And here are the elements that allow you to do so and make you eligible. So there are two requirements that are associated with this new change in the CARES Act. Number one, if you or your spouse have lost a job due to the illness. Number 2, if you had a job offer rescinded due to the illness. And it is important to understand that this current change in the CARES Act only lasts through the end of 2020. One important thing to note is that while the 10% penalty has been temporarily waived, the tax liability on the distribution has not. The good news is that you will have up to 3 years to pay that tax liability, but it's also something to factor in, especially if you're taking it out of a 401k, because a 401k, as you might remember, is a pre-tax retirement account, whereas a Roth IRA is a post-tax retirement account. So if you anticipate yourself right now being in a higher tax bracket, if you take the money out of your 401k at this time, yes, you will have 3 years to pay it, but if you're at a higher tax bracket, you will pay the higher taxes on that distribution. So it's something very important to understand. Whereas with a Roth IRA, it is a post-tax distribution, so you've already paid the taxes on that investment. So you'd want to take that into consideration when you're looking at both options. Furthermore, if you want to actually have a 401k distribution at this time, you need to actually get it signed off by your employer. So they need to approve that this distribution is going to take place. So you might need to contact your human resources department and discuss with them the possibility of you being able to do so. Now that the IRS has made these changes, you might be asking yourself, should I do this? And the question really is important for us to grasp right now because we want to always consider that we should be saving for a rainy day. I've talked about this many times before, that it's essential to actually save up to 3 to 6 months of all of your living expenses. So that way, in case a rainy day hits or an economic catastrophe hits, we can actually get through that. Now, I think it's a little different in this instance because now we're a number of months into this situation. So you might have already tapped into your reserves, into your emergency fund, and now you're looking for another way to bring in revenue, but you aren't able to access a job at this time or other resources for some reason. So it's really important for you to take this into consideration for yourself, depending upon where you are right now financially, and if this is a step that should be taken in order for you to actually be made whole. Now, it's always important to kind of keep all of your essentials in, I guess, a higher priority. So if you want to think about food, shelter, your medical care, and basically your primary monthly obligations. So if you're going to consider taking any money out of a retirement account, it really should be a last resort. It shouldn't be kind of something you're looking at right now and saying, hey, I can access money early, so I should do it. It really should only be a last resort. And if you're struggling to pay your monthly bills, putting food on the table, keeping your shelter, doing those kinds of things, then this might be for you. But only you will know that. So I just want to let you know, I just want to share the information so you can make a well-informed decision. I'm not going to prescribe what you should do at this instance. But it's very important for you to understand the ramifications of taking money out of your account. So you might be asking yourself now, what are the ramifications of me taking money out of a retirement account at this stage of my life? Depending upon where you are, how close you are to retirement, and at age of 59 and a half, this is a very important thing to understand, because one of the negatives of taking money out of a retirement account or any stock market account or any investment account that you have is that you begin to lose the benefits of compound interest. And with compound interest, that's when you allow your dividends and all of your investments to compound over time because you're reinvesting them into the stock market. As soon as you begin to touch not just the principal, but any of the gains that you've made in your investment, then you're going to lose a lot of the benefits of compound interest. So you want to think long term that if you're far away from retirement, you might be thinking this might not be a wise decision because you don't want to lose all the benefits of compound interest that you've been gaining over the years. So just think about that, factored into your long-term equation. It's important that you not only meet your necessary needs right now, but that also you're working to achieve your longer-term goals. Because if you can find a way to actually navigate through the current economic climate by finding another job, by doing your best to hustle, do whatever you can, that's probably preferable at this stage in time. But I also know that there's a lot that goes into this entire illness right now. It's not only impacting us from a fiscal or financial perspective, it affects us personally, psychology, spiritually. It just touches so many aspects of our lives. So I do understand if you're facing challenges right now that this might be a last resort for you that you need to take. So just take that into consideration when you're going through the process. Just be mindful of what your long-term goals are and what your immediate needs are and what other alternatives you have to bring in revenue. And if all of those other options have been exhausted, then this is something that you can consider, and you're not going to be facing those huge penalties that you normally would have if you were touching money in this account. In addition to the new flexibility the IRS has provided you with to be able to take up to $100,000 out of an IRA or out of a 401k retirement account, they also wrote into this legislation that you have the ability to now borrow up to $100,000 of your 401k balance with up to 6 years to pay yourself back the loan. In this scenario, you do not accrue any tax liability, and as you pay back the loan, those amounts get reinvested faster than if you delay paying the tax liability on the distribution. Now, this is very important to actually be aware of. As you might know from other videos and just kind of my ethos of what I'm doing on this channel and how I live my life, I am not one to advise taking out loans or financing items or getting into debt. I really believe that is a slippery slope that will really put you in a downward trajectory financially and not allow you to achieve your goals. So I would actually be very, very cautious if you were considering something along these lines. I just wanted to let you know that there is this other language that has been written into the legislation so that way you actually have this as another option. But it's something you want to be very mindful of, because loans, however, do have an associated interest rate with that. And currently the interest rate for a loan of this type, between taking out of your 401k, would be between 5.25% and 6.25%. And a word of caution I would say is that if you separate your employment with an outstanding 401k loan, let's say that if you leave your job but you still have the loan with the employer who you received your 401k from or who it was linked to previously, it just can require, it might cause a little bit of stress and tension, because then you're still having to pay back your former employer. So just be mindful of that. You could also face some issues with tax liability if that does become a longer term issue between you being able to pay that off over the 6-year period of time. Just be mindful of that. But I just want to let you know that I know we all have our own narrative during this time. We all have our own story during this time. We all have different circumstances during this time. I just want to provide you with all the tools, all the resources necessary for you to make well-informed decisions that can hopefully help you not only just navigate and survive through this entire trying time, but hopefully set you up in a position so that way you can thrive once we're through it, and even being able to strive in the present moment, because every day is a gift. Every day is an opportunity for us to make a positive impact in this world. Every day is an opportunity for us to continue to grow personally, professionally, financially, spiritually, physically. So I just want to offer a word of encouragement here, is that no matter what you're facing, no matter how difficult it is, no matter what challenges you're going through right now, my encouragement to you is that if you work hard, if you are diligent, if you're mindful, introspective, and rely on power beyond yourself, I hope that you're going to be able to, and I'm confident that you're going to be able to not only navigate through this challenging circumstance, but you're going to be able to thrive and be able to make it and achieve your goals long term. And that's my encouragement to you, because I want to do everything I can to help you achieve your goals. With all that being said, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch the video today. If you wouldn't mind, please like the video. It would actually really help the channel out for the YouTube algorithm and help push this video to other people who might need to hear an encouraging message like this and be informed on what they can or cannot do when it relates to their retirement accounts in this current issue that we're facing with the illness. So please do your best, like the video, and send it along the way. In addition, if you have any questions or comments, please comment down below. I'd love to interact with you, get to know you, get to hear your current stories that you're facing right now, and offer any additional advice that I can provide. So please comment at your convenience. And lastly, if you wouldn't mind subscribing to the channel, it actually really encourage myself and help the channel for the YouTube algorithm. I just want to make sure that I can continue to do everything I can to create content that'll make a positive impact in the lives of others, and do everything that I can to help you and myself live a life of meaning and purpose, all while maintaining balance and moderation. And if you do subscribe to the channel, please tap the notification bell. It'll help you be notified whenever I post a video onto YouTube, which I try to do on a weekly basis. So once again, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch the video today. I hope you have a wonderful remainder of your day. Talk to you next time.